The Second Amendment to the Bill of Rights was written in 1791. The second part of the Second Amendment states that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What does this mean? Hi, my name is Wade Skeen. I want to talk to you today about gun control. More importantly, gun rights in modern America. First off, I want to give you a little bit of history about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was written right after the American Revolution. Why would they write in the Second Amendment, and more importantly, why would they put it where they did? We all know what the First Amendment is. It guarantees us the right of speech, assembly, religion, freedom of the press. Probably the most important rights we as Americans have today. Why did they make the Second Amendment right after that? Well, I believe they did that because the Second Amendment is what keeps the First Amendment free and what keeps it in place today. If we have the Second Amendment, as we, as 300 million Americans that own 300 million firearms, have those rights to keep and bear arms, that keeps anyone from forcibly taking the First Amendment rights away from us. More so to that is these people that were writing the Bill of Rights just got done fighting a bloody war with an oppressive government that had been taxing them and persecuting them for the last 100 or so years. So that's my foundation for gun rights in American modern society. With that being said, I want to talk about a couple of things that our government has done over the last few decades to limit those rights. The first one, and probably the most impactful gun legislation that's been passed in recent decades, is commonly referred to as the Brady Bill. The real name of it was the National Handgun Protection Act, but it wasn't so much about handguns as it was what we call modern sporting rifles, or what people in the gun control community refer to as assault rifles. It also limited the amount of ammunition that a firearm could carry when it came to handguns or modern sporting rifles at the time. So the Brady Bill was passed in the mid-1990s. The mid-1990s. Under the Clinton administration, and more notably, more surprisingly, was actually with the Republican House and Senate. But in 2003, the University of Virginia kind of backed up what a lot of people thought at the time, was that the Brady Bill didn't do anything to help with gun violence. They went and did a study that showed that crime didn't decrease any over the lifespan of the Brady Bill until the mid-2000s when it expired. Most importantly, we've actually seen in the last 10 years since the Brady Bill expired that gun violence has actually decreased more since the Brady Bill expired, and people are more able to use higher capacity magazines and modern sporting rifles. The second legislation that we're looking at, or more correctly named as executive actions that President Obama is considering right now, are to further background checks. Well, there's a couple things about background checks you need to know. First off, there's no such thing as a gun show loophole. Any federally firearms licensed dealer has to run a background check when they transfer the possession of a firearm. It doesn't matter where they do it, if it's in their garage, if it's out of their car in a parking lot, or if they do it at a gun show. They have to do that. An individual seller, such as myself, who wanted to sell a firearm to a friend or a family member, does not have to do a background check when changing possession of a firearm. The big thing about background checks is the president's trying to use executive actions now to expand background checks. There's a problem with that as well. University of Chicago and Duke University together did a study just this past October to check and see how effective background checks were in criminal activity. It was astounding what they found, and this is the first real study that's been done on this particular subject so specific to background checks. They found that only 3% of criminals actually acquired their guns in a legal way, where they went to a dealer and got a background check done, purchased a firearm, and then committed a crime with it. The other 97% of people who were already felons in most cases, and illegal for them to own a firearm, purchased these firearms from other felons to get a firearm that they later committed a crime with. So history has proven and facts have proven that assault weapons bans, or what I refer to as a modern sporting rifle ban, capacity limits, and expanded background checks beyond the already universal system we have are actually a failure. In conclusion, I want to wrap up with this. A guy named Robert Heinlein, in a movie called Beyond This Horizon, stated that an armed society is a polite society. Chicago, Detroit, DC, New Orleans, New York City have some of the highest, strictest gun control laws in the country, while also having the highest homicide rate in the country. Thank you.